Hello again, it's Kristen with Ministry to Children, and today we are talking about humility and what it means to not be overwhelmed by pride in our own doing, but to focus on Jesus as a source of all of our strength. So we're looking at a passage where Jesus warned people about the Pharisees and not only listening to them because of what they said about themselves or because they were so puffed up, but understanding that they could teach, but that the true example came from Jesus. The true example came from him because he lived out what he said, and that it's important for us to not only live out what we say, but to not be too prideful or arrogant in our own understanding. So we have two crafts that we're going to do that have to do with humility. Now, believe it or not, it's not a very easy, craftable thing in some ways. But we're going to do a couple of things today to remind students of what it means to be humble or to not think too highly of ourselves. So the first craft that we're going to do is we're going to make a recipe for humble pie is what this is going to be. So you're going to need some kind of a plain paper bag or maybe even like a little pie tin or something. You can do this a couple of ways, maybe a paper plate, but the idea is that we're going to remember that what's important is on the inside. That's not about how we look or how we present ourselves on the outside, but what's on the inside. So the outside of this bag is actually going to be kind of plain, but we're going to put some things inside that remind us of the importance of trusting in Jesus. So you're going to decorate the outside of your bag, but again, we're not going to make it too snazzy. No sparkles, no fancy pom-poms, but you can label it something like recipe or maybe ingredients for humble pie. Now you can also tell kids how this is an expression, a phrase that people will say that you should eat humble pie. Obviously, we're not going to eat anything that will make us genuinely humble, but that basically means take a step back. Look away from yourself. You're not the most important person. So we have here our recipe. Now you could even, perhaps on the outside of your bag, put some sort of a recipe card, or you can draw a little menu or a little cookbook to sort of make it fun and say, oh, this is a recipe. Let's pretend like we're cooking something. So what we're cooking is a good attitude in our heart. So then what you're going to do is on the inside of this, you're going to put several different little items that will remind you of what it means to be humble. So maybe you take, again, a recipe card or just a note card or perhaps a piece of paper. You can cut this into different pieces. And you can take some little items to stick inside of your bag. So maybe you want to use like a fun little bow, or maybe you want to use a clothespin or a ribbon or a cup. And those things are going to go in your bag. So you're going to write on your little pieces of paper or your recipe cards or whatever you prefer to do, the kinds of things that remind us of humility. So humility, maybe you can write this down. Humility means look to God for strength. We want to remember that he's the source of all that we have. And plan your writing better than that. So here we go. There's thing number one, look to God for strength. Then maybe another thing that you could describe humility as is be kind to others or think of others as better than ourselves. Or say kind words to others. Maybe we're going to stick our little bow on there. And then this one maybe we're going to put in our cup because these are all simple, fun elements. Oh, we didn't tie this one on. We can tie this one on something too. We can tie this one around our cup. Again, this is using your creativity, and you can do it however you like to do it and with whatever kinds of materials you have. Maybe you have cardboard. Maybe you have a paper plate. But the idea is that what's on the inside of this bag is more important than the outer appearance, just like what's on our inside is more important than the things that we might talk about or say. So lastly, we might have help, the kids can help you come up with other examples of humility. So maybe you want to say act like a servant, because that's what Jesus did. And maybe even you can flip it over, use the backside. You can say humility is the opposite of pride, because pride is when you think highly of yourself. And humility doesn't have to mean that you hate yourself, but just that you think of other people as better. And it's kind of ironic, because I think it was C.S. Lewis that said humility is something that you lose the second you think you have it. So anyways, here's our fun little items. And now we're going to put them into our little baggie. And then you've got your recipe or your ingredients for a lovely humble pie, which maybe is not so tasty to eat. Again, it's not something you want to eat, but is an important thing to have and to carry with you. And perhaps this can even be something that's converted into a decoration, or something that you can take those things out and put other things inside of your little bag, or rotate and come up with other ways to be humble. There's different options. So that's number one, our humble pie bag. And craft number two is pretty simple. Basically, what we're going to create here is we're going to remind ourselves not to be puffed up with pride. Now, people say puffed up, explaining this in kid terms, to mean that maybe you're over important. You think you're so special, but really we know that we all do bad things and make mistakes. We're only saved by Jesus. So you're going to take some sort of maybe popsicle sticks, or a long handle, or something that has a cross, or something you can turn into a cross. And this is going to be the base of your puffed up decoration, or your don't be puffed up decoration. Now, what you can do is you can glue this together, or you can string it together if you've got another one of those pipe cleaners. And then you're going to make your cross. Now, on your cross, you're going to use a Sharpie or a marker to remind yourself of what this is, or you could also add a little tag if you have a piece of paper or a note card or something to remind yourself of us wanting to look to the cross for more strength, that Jesus is our power, not our own pride. Now, attached to this cross, we are going to place a balloon. And this could be something that if you want to make it really elaborate and a one-time kind of a craft, you might even pop your balloon. But if you want to take it with you, don't worry about popping the balloon. But we're going to make a balloon man to remind ourselves that pride puffs us up, puts too much hot air in it. So you could even write something like, don't be full of hot air, be full of Jesus. Or think of others before yourself. Or there's a variety of options. So we're going to blow up our balloon to show that pride can sometimes blow us up in more ways than one. And remember that looking to ourselves for strength might seem to fill us up, but at the end, it's pretty empty. It will easily fall flat. Anyways, once you've got your balloon blown up, you can draw a little face on it. Now, if you want to remember that these Pharisees were actually kind of mean and angry fellows, then maybe you want to draw kind of an angry face, or maybe you just want to draw a face that looks arrogant. How you communicate that on a balloon, I'm not sure. But you're going to draw onto your balloon, and then you're going to attach your little balloon man. Not the best choice of color arrangements, but don't you worry, I've got a pre-made sample. You're going to bring your little balloon man attached to your cross, and we have, don't be puffed up, look to Jesus. Here is our happy or arrogant or prideful, confused expression balloon man. And Yeah, he's kind of sagging because he's just full of hot air. But Jesus is the most important thing to remember. Look to the cross because that is what saves us and what's the most important thing. So, as always, make this your own. Have fun with it. Get creative. Use what you've got on hand and what works best for your audience and class around you. And have fun. These are just some ideas to get you going, to get your wheels turning. Feel free to subscribe, continue watching. We've got new crafts and children's messages every week. Comment below if you liked it, hated it, whatever. And hopefully we will see you next time. Have a great week. Make some crafts and make some disciples.